Hello friends, if you are preparing for the P2P profile or Procure to profile, then this video is really going to help you in your interview questions. So without wasting the time, we will start the video. So what is the P2P cycle? So P2P cycle start with purchase requisition, purchase order, then receiving the inventory and receiving the invoice and making the payment to the vendor or reconciling the account. So one by one we will see in details. Purchase requisition. So the P2P cycle begin with identifying the needs of goods and service. This can be done through raising the purchase requisition where an employee or user department request the goods and service they need in the department. So next process will be your and this ME51G is the T code, SAP T code for raising the purchase requisition. Then next is purchase order and T code for the purchase order is ME21N. So once the vendor has been selected, we will purchase the raw material from the vendor. Before purchasing the raw material from the vendor, we will raise the purchase order to multiple vendors. We will raise the purchase order to multiple vendor. Multiple vendors is selected. Multiple vendors we will raise the purchase order. So in the purchase order has been selected, purchase order is created and specific quantity and price and delivery detail, that is shipping address, we will give in the purchase order. So after this purchase order, we will find the after raising the purchase order to the different vendors, we will select the vendor selection. Next step will be our vendor selection. So in the vendor selection, we will see the vendors who is giving the good quality materials and in the less price and faster delivery. We will select the vendor. The next step is to select the vendor who can provide the goods and service that are needed. The invoice evaluating potential vendors based on the factors such as price, quantity, and delivery, fast delivery time. We can tell delivery time or fast delivery. Fast delivery time. So after selecting the vendor, our next step is to vendor shipment. What happen means after giving the, we will select the vendor and we will give the order to the vendor, and the vendor what he will do, he will send the goods. Vendor selection will be confirmed after that. Vendor will send the goods. So vendor will deliver the goods and service to the buyer, and the buyer confirm the receipt of goods and check for accuracy. So here vendor, after the vendor shipment, the next step is to GRN receipt, goods receipt. So this is our internal process, GRN receipt. So the inventory or store department will receive the goods. So after receiving the goods, they will pass the journal entry, which you can see here. So we have the separate video for the journal entry. So after this theory part, we will come to the journal entry part. So we will receive the goods, then we will receive the invoice, And after receiving the invoice, we will do the three-way match or two-way match. We will do three-way match and two-way match. After that, we will proceed for the payment. So we will proceed for the payment, and after the payment is done, we will reconcile the payment with the bank. So in the P2P cycle, next question will be your what is purchase requisition? What is purchase requisition? Purchase requisition is a document issued by production department to the purchase department or procure department stating what's goods and service they need, which cost center they need the goods and service, and how much quantity they need the goods and service. So our next question is follow purchase requisition. So purchase requisition will be issued from the user department to the purchase department, and purchase department writes the purchase order. Purchase requisition detail. Okay, what details purchase requisition includes? So purchase requisition includes the purchase requisition number, cost center name, and requisitioner name and date, which date he requested the material, and approver name and date, shipping address, and item description. These are the these are the details includes in the purchase requisition. Okay, what are the types of purchase requisition? So you can see the type of purchase requisition: direct purchase requisition, direct purchase, direct purchase requisition, indirect purchase requisition, internal purchase requisition, and external purchase requisition. Direct purchase requisition is includes the manually created by the employee. Indirect purchase requisition is generated by the system when the raw material go below the reorder level. Internal requisition may be used when you are transferring the raw material from one cost center to another cost center. External purchase requisition is the requisition of raw material purchased from the outside vendors. Purchase requisition is also known as purchase request or PR, is an internal document that employee use to request a purchase from their business. It is structured way to communicate the raw material and help and describe what the purchase is and why it is needed and how it will be benefited in the business. Purchase requisition are an essential part of the procurement process and are often used in the large companies with the financial department. It is production department. Purchase requisition can be sent via paper or mail or any software or other mode of communication. So our next question will be type of purchase order, types of purchase PO, types of purchase order PO. So there is first types Standard purchase order, planned purchase order. Standard purchase order have more flexibility to negotiate with the vendor for the price, and they can purchase from any vendor. Planned purchase order, it is similar to standard purchase order without specific delivery detail, and standard purchase order are released when they needed and include the tentative delivery. It is already planned the vendor or supplier. Blanket purchase order. Blanket purchase order is an order which is used in the long-term agreement with a similar kind of goods and service supplying. It is recurring purchase and it is predefined the terms and condition of the delivery. Contract purchase order. What is contract purchase order? Another type of purchase business use different type of purchase order identifying the raw material and supplier they need and when they need. Purchase order are used for tracking the business inventory and expenditure and are legally binding once the seller accept them. So it is a contract between the company and their supplier. Invoice process. Okay, what is invoice process? So basically, invoice process include when you receive the vendor invoice and you make the payment to the vendor invoice. That is called the invoice process. What is invoice? Invoice is a document which is sent by seller to buyer and asking for the payment. Key detail of invoice contains your buyer detail, buyer detail, buyer contact detail, buyer tax detail, quantity, rate, amount, payables, and terms and condition of the payments. Stages of the invoice processing. So stages of the invoice processing is nothing but receiving the invoice and verifying the invoice with POGRN and getting approval and making the payment. There are some, these are some stages of the invoice processing. Number six, challenges in the invoice processing. So the challenges in the invoice processing, receive the invoice with difference in total invoice, delaying receiving the invoice which is already exceed the due date, missing bank detail or incomplete invoice. So next question is in P2P, what is accounts payable process and what is the accounts payable responsibilities? So accounts payable includes receiving the invoice, verifying and matching the invoice with POGRN, processing for the payment on time and reconciling the vendor account. Invoice processing match with the PO goods receipt and maintaining the vendor record and any discrepancies and monthly reconciliation and also ensuring the accurate financial reporting. So these are some responsibilities accounts profile has to give attention. Next question is how do you handle the vendor payment? It is important questions. You can mark the important questions. It is not visible at all. We will mark with red, reddish. visible, more visible. How do you handle the vendor payment? Next question is how do you handle the vendor payment? Once the invoice is received, we verify them matching with PO and GRN. We verify them with PO and GRN. Then we schedule the payment as per the payment terms in the invoice given and will record the process. We will forget one step here with the PO and receipt and approval. APPROVL approval. Take approval. Take approval. Then we schedule payment as per the terms of payment given in the invoice and ensuring the proper approval and ensuring the proper reconciliation. Ensuring the proper records. Next question is how do you prioritize the payment with the limited cash? How do you prioritize the payment with the limited cash? So when we have the limited cash, first we will see based on their vendor due, based on their invoice due date. Old invoice we will make the payment first. Due date, early payment based on the due date. We prioritize based on due date. This is one based on the due date. Early payment discount, we will seek early payment discount. This is second. First is based on the due date. If any long pending invoice is there, we will make the payment on long pending invoice. Second, we will see which invoice we can get the discount, early payment discount. We will take the early payment discount and we will clear that bill first so we can get the discount. And third is critical invoice. Any discrepancies invoice, critical suppliers, discrepancies, any discrepancies invoices is there, we will clear that discrepancies invoice to AVOU avoid penalties, interest, penalties and interest, and keep good relationship with vendor. Good, the good relationship with VENDOR. Okay, next question is what type of payment What type of payment are handling in accounts payable or AP? What kind of payment is handling on AP? So in AP, you will be handling the vendor invoice payment, utility bill payment, utility bill payment, electricity bill payment, employee reimbursement payment, and tax payment. These kind of invoices you will be handling on AP. Next question is how do you ensure the payment accuracy? So in payment accuracy, the most important thing we should see double payment, and we are see the proper approval taken for any invoice payment, and we how do you ensure? So by using the three-way POGRN invoice, POGRN and invoice, reconciling the vendor, accounts, and using automatic process, we can ensure the using automatic payment process, we can avoid the double entry payment, double payment, okay, or uh, invoice mishandling or partial payment. Next question is why are early payment discount important? Why are early payment discount important? So early payment reduce the cost, and early payment improves the vendor relationship. If you are making payment early, it will improve the vendor relationship also. And more important, we will get the discount. Okay, what is 2 by 10 and 1 by 30 in AP? So 2 by 10 is nothing but if you are making the payment within 10 days, you will get 2% cash discount. And if you are making the payment within 30 days, you will be getting 1% discount. So this helps in keeping the vendor relationship healthy, and avoiding the penalties and interest. It avoids the interest and penalties and any legal notice, etc. Next is how do you resolve the payment dispute issue? How do you resolve the payment dispute issue? Sometimes payment dispute will arise less paying, not paying on time, okay, or overpayment, underpayment. So how do you reconcile the dispute? So in the dispute, we will go to the history. We will gather the documents, purchase invoice copy, and the payment slips and vendor statement. We will ask the vendor statements also. We will get the bank statement, paying bank statement, paying paying bank statement through which bank we have made the payment. We will get the statement. Identifies then we will identify the discrepancies. We identify the differences if any. Suppose the invoice was for 1000 rupees and we made only 900 rupees. So we will ask the documents, some documents from the vendor also, and we will get the documents from our side also, like bank statement, paying bank statement. So in the bank statement, we can show them the vendor we have successfully made, and this is our bank statement. After verifying, we communicate the same thing to the vendor and resolve the dispute. So what you can tell, you follow the structured process like gathering documents, PO, receipt invoices, payment details, vendor statements, payment bank statement, and investigating the mismatch between these source documents and reach out the vendor for the clarification and resolve the issue within the SLA. What AP tools have you used? What AP tool have you used? Account process tool have you used? This is the next question interviewer asks. You can tell your accounting or ERP tool like SAP. If you have worked in SAP, you tell SAP, Oracle's, QuickBook, Zoho, BG, etc. Next question is, how do you ensure the compliance? So compliance is nothing but your government required reports. You need to prepare and file the returns like GSTR1, GSTR3B. These are your compliance. So follow the internal process laid down by your management. Ensure the approval taking for every invoices and ensure you have record the tax correctly and maintain the accounts. Next question is, how do you prevent duplicate payment? So next question is, how do you prevent duplicate payments? So to prevent a duplicate payment, what we can do, we can use the customization. We can customize our software if it is not available by default in the software. We can use the automation tool. We can do the vendor reconciliation timely. Timely, we can review the entries and we can conduct the audit. So this practice will helps to prevent the duplicate payment. What is purchase return? What is purchase return? How do you handle? What is purchase return? How do you handle? How do you handle? So when purchase return is when buyer return the goods and service or product and service to the seller, that is called the purchase return. How do we handle the purchase return? We will debit the accounts payable and credit the purchase return. Next question is, what is the impact of late payment? What is the impact of late payment on AP? What is the impact on late payment of AP? if you are doing the late payment, will be the impact on accounts payable. So it has impact on cash outflow, vendor relationship, because if you are paying the delay, actually it will show our cash will show more. Our cash will show more. So the outflow, it will cash will show more. So outflow will be showing the less. Vendor relationship will ruin. So when you not making the payment on time, the vendor might offend of it and they might stop supplying the raw materials, and the company credit worthiness will go down, company reputation will go down, company goodwill go down. So you can tell, in my role we ensure meet payment deadlines, no, negotiate the payment terms, and utilize early payment discount if possible. So here are some SAP T codes and activities used for. Activities is nothing but the SAP T code used for. So for purchase requisition, SAP T code is used ME51N to create the purchase requisition, and ME52N is used to change the purchase requisition. ME43N is used to display the purchase requisition, and SAP for PO purchase order. ME21N SAP T code is used to create the PO. ME22N ME22N SAP T code is used to change the purchase order. ME23N SAP T code is used to display the PO. ME29N SAP T code is used to release the PO. GRN, for GRN SAP T codes. This is for purchase order and this is the for GRN. So for the GRN, MIGO is used to goods received. MIGO SAP T code is used to goods received. MBO3 SAP T code is used to display the documents. Vendor invoice receipt SAP T code. Vendor invoice receipt SAP T codes. So when you receive the vendor invoice, MIRO entering incoming invoice. Incoming invoice, that is the vendor invoice. MR8M is used to cancel the invoice. MRBR is used to release the blocked invoice. Vendor invoice management. SAP T code for vendor invoice management. To create the vendor invoice, SAP T code is used to XK01. XK01 is used to create the vendor invoice. XK02 SAP T code used to change the vendor account. XK03 SAP T code is used to display the vendor account. So next, inventory management. SAP code for inventory management. MMB SAP code is used stock overview to show stock overview. MB1C SAP code is used to other goods received. SAP codes for reporting. SAP SAP codes for reporting. ME2N is used to purchase order by purchase number. SAP code ME80FN is used to analyze the purchase order. What is month end in P2P? Procure to pay or accounts payable. Month end close in P2P or accounts payable. Closing procedure in accounting involves several steps like accurate financial record, preparing for the next month. Here is a general checklist. Pre-close review. Pre-close month end. That is review. Verify the transaction. Review the journal entries, purchase invoices, payment journal entries, and reconcile the cash, cash book, bank book, credit card, and other statement, vendor ledger statement with vendor ledger statement, and update the accounts payable or receivable. Accounts payable for AP, account receivable for order to cash. Closing closing entries or adjustment. So in month end we will be doing the accrual expenses for purchase, accrual expenses for sales, accrual income. Recording the depreciation and amortization. We will ensure we have recorded the depreciation on tangible assets and amortization on intangible assets. Recognize the revenue or deferred expenses. Recognize revenue or prepaid expenses. In the month end, we will see the prepaid expenses. We have recorded the prepaid expenses or no. Similarly, deferred expenses. If we have made any deferred expenses, we have a record of deferred expenses or revenue, deferred revenue, deferred expenses, that is prepaid expenses, and DEFERRED, deferred revenue, deferred revenue. We also should have the record of deferred revenue. So deferred expenses is nothing but the expenses paid in advance, and deferred revenue is nothing but the income received in advance before giving the goods and service. Okay, next we will see after closing month end activities. So after closing, we will see the balance sheet is reconciled. Balance sheet is reconciled. We will verify the assets, liabilities, and equities in the balance sheet, and we will see the profit and loss account and confirm the revenue expenses are correct, and we will see the cash flow statement. Inflow of cash and outflow of cash is properly recorded. Post closing the month end close. So after closing the month end, once the month end close, we will prepare for the next month. So in the next month opening, what happened means, whatever the closing was there, same balance will come in the opening. So it is properly showing or not, we need to ensure. And we need to ensure the journal entries. We reverse the accrual or deferrals. We reverse the accrual and deferrals. Account analysis, we will review the account balances, accounts payable, account receivable, cash balances, and bank balances. It is correct. Whatever the closing was there in the previous period, it is there in the opening period. Financial report, we will prepare the financial report if it is in flow of your organization. We will see the payroll entries, salary, wages is properly recorded. So month end close, that was the month end close, and now year end close. So there is year end close also, checklist for year end close. Month end close and year end close. Month end close and year end close. So in year end close, we will see, we will ensure that we have recorded the depreciation. In the month end close, we will ensure, year end close, we will ensure amortization expenses is recorded. Accrual expenses, which expenses happened in the December month. Suppose December is our last month, so in December month we have recorded the expenses, all the expenses recorded. Any revenue earned in December month but not received, we have recorded properly. Recognized revenue earned, whatever the revenue is recognized, that is recorded in the December month itself. Provision for bad debts is recorded properly, or provision for depreciation is recorded in the December properly. Inventory adjustment, any missing inventory or new inventory is found, recorded in December itself or no. Deferred expenses, any expenses paid in December month which is not for December month, is recorded properly or no. Any income received in December but not earned in December, recorded properly or no. So these are some examples and practices in year end close. So year end close journal entry. So what are the journal entry required in the year end? So journal entry, close the temporary accounts. Year end close journal entry, close the temporary accounts. It transfer the income from net profit to retained earning account, profit and loss appropriation account, and updates the retained earning accurate balance. Update retained earnings accurate amount. So journal entries, what are the journal entries here? It will come take place pre-closing Journal entries like reversal of accrual and deferral for preparing new year. Accounts analysis, we will review the account balances, closing balance of last year, showing as a opening balance or no, closing balance of last financial year, closing balance of last financial year as opening balance, proper financial reportings. We will prepare the financial reportings like profit and loss account, balance sheet of previous financial year, and audit preparation if applicable. If your books of account require the audit, so the businesses or companies whose turnover is more than 1 crore, they are applicable for the audit. So they need to do their audit from the certified CS. Checklist and schedule for year-end process. What is the checklist and schedules for the year-end process? This is also very important questions. Year-end process. So create a year-end closing schedule. Year-end closing schedule. Prepare the checklist for tasks and deadlines. Review and updates the accounting policies. Next step comes for the reconciliation. What is reconciliation? Comparing the two source of documents and finding out the differences. Balance sheet reconciliation. Balance sheet reconciliation. But sorry, it is a bank reconciliation. BANK bank reconciliation. Bank reconciliation is the process of verifying the accuracy of internal record, company internal record, process of verifying the company internal records, that is bank GL, by comparing it with the documents or record external documents or records, external records, external record, example, bank statement. So what is the process for the bank reconciliation? So Why we do the reconciliation, bank reconciliation purpose? Why do we do bank reconciliation? Why do we do the bank reconciliation? To ensure the accuracy and completeness of bank accounts, bank bank accounts, to detect the error and frauds, to detect the error and frauds, and verify the compliance with the standards and regulations. Next question is, what is bank reconciliation? Balance sheet reconciliation. So, balance sheet reconciliation is nothing but process of reconciling the balance sheet item. What are the balance sheet item? Assets, liabilities. In assets, we will see cash, account receivable, inventory, property, plant, equipment, investment. In liabilities, what we will see accounts payable, loan payable, tax payable. So reconciling all these is called the bank reconciliation. Cash reconciliation. What is cash or bank or cash? Cash reconciliation is nothing bank. We can tell the bank reconciliation. Reconciling the bank statement. Reconciling the bank statement. Verify the cash on hand. What is account receivable reconciliation? So in the account receivable reconciliation, we will see and confirm the customer account balances. How much customer has to pay? Customer account balances. Customer account balances. If total account receivable is 1,000 rupees, same in the customer ledger closing balance also 1,000 rupees. Next is inventory reconciliation. So inventory reconciliation, we will compare the records with physical stock valuation, total amount, and costing, stock costing, plant, property, equipment reconciliation, plant, property, and equipment reconciliation. So we will reconcile the plant with proper depreciation recording and net sales register, assets register, net assets register, net value of assets, net value in assets register, investment reconciliation. So we will reconcile the investment with the dividend income received on investment, interest on investment, interest on investment. Next is liability reconciliation, balance sheet reconciliation. Under the balance sheet reconciliation, we have the liabilities, accounts payable. So accounts payable we will reconcile with the vendor statement and aged trial balance. Vendor aged trial balance and loan payable we will confirm the loan agreement, interest on loan approval, booked interest on loan and accruals booked. Tax payable we will reconcile the tax return and payment of tax. After that we have equity. Next item is equity. So in equity we will reconcile the share capital, verify the issuance and stock ledger. Next is retained earning. So in the retained earning, we will see and confirm the dividend payments and prior year adjustment. What are reconciliation technique used? What are reconciliation technique used? So account reconciliation compare the balance sheet to external documents. Account reconciliation compare the balance sheet to external documents like bank, accounts receivable, etc. Transaction testing. After passing the transactions, we should verify the transaction recorded correctly or no. Analytical process. So the technique used, another technique used to reconcile reconciliation is analytical procedure. Here we can review the accounts, fluctuations and correction entries if required. What are common reconciliation issues? What are common reconciliation issues? So in common reconciliation issues come like timing differences. We are not getting the invoices on time. Omission issue of omission. We will forgetting recording the invoice. Issue of duplication. We are processing the twice of invoices and other discrepancies. Wrong head. We can tell this wrong documentation. What are best practices for any reconciliation? What are the best practices for any reconciliation? So the best practices for any reconciliation is regularly review the transaction and reconcile the account. Use the automation tool or customization tool to reconcile. Document reconciliation process follow-up, proper proper reconciliation process follow-up, proper reconciliation process follow-up, proper reconciliation follow-up, and invoice multiple personnel in reconciliation, multiple personnel in reconciliation. This is multiple personnel. Suppose there be multiple personnel or authority. We can tell authorizer in reconciliation process. Suppose one team will be doing the invoicing, another team will be there to review, another team will be there approver who will approve the invoice, and finally account get reconciled. What are the reconciliation tools you have worked on? What are the reconciliation tool have you worked on? What are the reconciliation tool have you worked on? You can tell I have worked in QuickBook, Zero, Zoho accounting software. These are the tools are used to reconcile. You can tell them. And if you reconcile in Excel, you can tell the Excel. There are separate software only for reconciliation that you can tell black line tool, reconcile art, etc. So, so reconciliation, frequency of reconciliation. So when we do the reconciliation, how frequently in your company doing the reconciliation? It can be a monthly, quarterly, half yearly, and yearly. It can be a monthly, quarterly, half yearly, yearly, quarterly reconciliation, half yearly, and yearly. Yearly. So in this video, that's it. In the next video, we will see what are the journal entry are used in P2P or accounts process. If there is any concept missing in this video, please comment us. So next video we can include those missing concepts in P2P or accounts payable process. So you can pause the video, you can note it down, and you can prepare for your P2P account profile. Thank you for watching the video. Have a good day.